Finally, finally we got one right. I have seen mangas being adapted to anime form, being butchered again and again and again. And it's just frustrating because we could have such we could have if they wouldn't have at least half the passion and dedication as Solo Leveling, we could have so many great manga adaptation that people would be just timeless classics, something that you would watch every so often, visit back, something that you would just go call your friends and immediately recommend it. But sadly, Solo Leveling is the exception, not the rule. Now, the reason why I mostly say this is because in some ways I do get it. Mangas being adapted to anime form is much more difficult than mangas. The reason because mangas usually do not have good stopping points. While mangas you have arcs, mini arcs, big arcs that you can maybe do 12, 13 episodes easily without having to cut pretty much anything. Manhwas is different. Manhwas, the story is just continuously developing and expanding. There's just manhwas just don't have good stopping points, at least not for 12 to 13 episode run. Usually, look, if I'm being honest, with all the manhwas that I have personally read, some of them you could probably do like 15 to 17 episodes, but the grand majority of them are very, at least the one that I have read, the grand majority of them, you need like 27 to 28 episodes if you want to do a faithful, good adaptation. Even if you cut a lot of stuff, I still say that at least 25, because just manhwas don't have good stopping points. So taking that overarching story that's continuously progressing and try to chop a lot of dialogue and a lot of scenes to squeeze them into 12, 13 episodes is just not feasible. You're going to have a lesser product, and that's the most frustrating thing. So many great manhwas that could have been in the same level as Solo Leveling being butchered. If we have the right now we have the ending before the beginning, if I remember the name correctly, being butchered, and supposedly it has a dedicated fan base. I think it's just like a lottery system. Just sometimes you get lucky and you get a studio that is passionate about the source material, and some of them just want to release a product, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And some of them do have their hearts in the right places, but with upper management, if upper management says fit it in 12, 13 episodes and they don't approve 20 episodes something runtime, well, your hands are tied, nothing you can do. So that's my mini rant in my frustration of manga's adaptation, that seriously is very frustrating for me. With the many that I have personally read being adapted, frustrating. But let's move on. Now, this review is about Solo Leveling. Now, Solo Leveling, we have our main character Sung Yun Woo, who is a pathetic, down of the barrel beta E rank. He's a hunter, where the world we have gates that open up in random places of the world where you enter, fight monster, even like a video game. There's in the ending there's a boss, and some of them give you loot, and you have even crystal that you can mine and use those crystal for energy source. I read the manga, but I'm not very sure what those crystals are used. Most of them maybe to power for energy and experimentations. They have their uses. Now, our main character enters a double dungeon, being desperate because he wants to pay. He has to pay the bills in order to cure his mom, who has a sickness that makes her sleep where she cannot wake up. She's just like a not a vegetative state, but she's always sleeping, and the the hospital bills are tremendous. So he works as a hunter, not because he has a grand vision for the future. He wants to be number one. He wants to be the stronger. No, his goals are very simple: get his sister to college, and cure his mom. The simple story, at least simple goals for him. Now, he enters a double dungeon. Everything he sees a couple of statues, an altar in the middle of the room is a circular room, and surprise, it's a trap. The statues come to life, they start attacking, start killing, and it's just a bloodbath. Seriously, handful of survival. Now, the first season released 1 2 years ago. I don't remember. Let me check a little bit. It released on, yes, 2021. No, sorry, 2023. So yes, 2 years ago. So this is not a spoiler. Just bloodbath and a handful of survival. Sun Jin Woo being among them. Now, my boy, as he survived and he got the skill of a player. How do I say this? A screen pop ups in front of him saying, "Hey, do you want to be a player?" He says yes right when he was going to pass out from all the injuries that those statues made out of him. And yes, he wakes up in the hospital, and he has been recognized as a player. Now, as soon as he has been recognized as a player, he now has to do missions, whether it be push-ups, doing running a certain amount of distance, squats. But my main character here, Sang Yun-woo, he's lazy. He's like, I just survive a dungeon. I don't feel I don't feel like doing all this crap right now. I just want to lay down and relax. But there's a penalty that he didn't know about. He suddenly wake up in the middle of a desert where he's being chased by a monster for 1 hour straight. You didn't want to exercise? That's one way to exercise, running for your life. Now, being traumatized, my boy starting to do those quests seriously. He started doing his runs, he started doing his push-ups, his squats, and my boy gets shredded. He is raising up every single female nurse in this hospital. Even one of them straight up asked for his phone number, and poor Sang Yun-woo, oblivious, still very hot, but with still the mind of a beta. Now, my boy gets shredded, goes, he gets stronger, he's level up, get new gears. He usually fights with daggers. Now, I don't mind the daggers. He used them very well, but in my experience with many mangas adaptation where they do the whole dungeon crawler thing, for some reason daggers is a very popular weapon when they do those type of mangas where they are entering a dungeon, exploring, killing monster. Very rarely do the main character use a weapon other than daggers. So even though that I'm tired already of every main character in this type of setting using daggers, he makes it work. He looks cool with them, and he uses it flawlessly. Now, Yes, he gets shredded, goes to dungeons, level up, and my boy, in the future, he unlocks the necromancer skill, where every single monster that he kills, he can do the whole arise thing and make them one of his minions, one of his army. Now, when it comes to this story, yes, there's more to tell. A lot of killing. The season two, the well, not the Chimerans that from Hunter x Hunter, very very alike the two of them, but no, there's different structure, but similar in many ways. But I think I'm going to leave it the story review and leave it there because I don't want to accidentally give out any spoilers. Now, when it comes, yes, I already say that this one is finally a good manga adaptation. In both seasons, they did made it work into 12, 13 episode runtimes. Yes, they did cut, and maybe some of the dialogue or scenes were changed up a little bit, but it wasn't a detriment to the story or overarching plot. So I'm very happy with that. Now, the fighting, happy to say, unlike most recently that I can think of, God of High School and God of War, where in those fights, every single one of them in from mangas to anime, the fights got downgraded. This one they did perfectly. Every single fight scene was done flawlessly. I was engaged, I was attentive, I was in the edge of my seat, with the blood, with the moves, with the flow of movement. They did a fantastic job with the fighting animation. Now, if there's, I don't have any negatives and I don't have any nitpicks that I can think of. So, yes, I'm going to leave it there. Now, if I'm going to give this anime a score, oh, sorry, I do remember one thing that I want to touch upon really quickly. On the internet, there's a lot of criticism that solo leveling is just fighting and fighting and there's no story. And to not swear, the only thing I'm going to say is baloney, false, equivocado, just not true. There is story, but it's just a simple story. You don't have to overcomplicate things. You don't have to have a twist or twists and turns in a story. You don't have to have a surprise villain. Sometimes simple is better. Those same people that criticize solo leveling for not having a story are the same ones that criticize Dragon Ball. It's just not true. Sometimes simple is better. It fits the story, it fits the world, it fits the character. And that's all I'm going to say about them. I have zero problem with the story, zero problems with the action. I'm happy with the product that I got. So, score. I'm happy to say that to me this is a 10 out of 10. I'm super happy with that at least that I have finally got a good manga adaptation. I'm going to say that again and again, and hopefully this solo leveling is a good example for future mangas adaptation. Obviously not the beginning after the end, the one already got butchered heavily, but for other manga adaptations, I'm hopeful that they see this as a prime example of what to do when they decide to adapt a manga. Now, have a good night, have a good day, wherever you're from, and see you next video.